Oh, Cy. Hello,
I was just
everyone. I'm
there.
Cy. I forgot I had this thing on mute, but my name's Quinn, the owner of What's Really Going On in America, and here's my co-host Johnny.
Happy Tuesday, everyone.
And well, next Happy Tuesday this week, and even happier next week when we actually have a president for once in our lives.
We are
After
counting
4 years of not having one.
Definitely
So,
counting down. Definitely anxious. Looking forward to the future. See what we got going on for us. Finally.
looking forward to having tax cuts and border walls up and decreasing of the government on the federal level.
Yeah, I just got my W-2 today. I'm scared to open it. I'm not really. I don't even want to know what I gave the government this year.
Oh, yeah, because Biden, of course, messed up everything as always.
Well, at least he was consistent. We were never surprised.
Yeah, consistently giving themselves money all 4 years anyway.
I'm looking forward to see how he messes up even more this last week, like that last final hurrah of his administration.
The final 6 days of sabotaging Trump, which
I
is
would assume that's what he's going to go for. I just want to see what other kind of just unnecessary dumb nonsense happens.
oh yes. So speaking of Biden destroying America, a little more before he leaves the White House. Hooray, hooray! Here's a clip from Trump.
You know, they talk about a transition. They always say, oh, no, we want to have a smooth transition from party to party of government. Well, they're making it really difficult. They're throwing everything they can in the way. They're giving out trillions of dollars in nonsense, in Green New Deal crap that isn't worth a damn thing. In fact, it's a negative for the country, not a positive.
Where they're trying to.
So yeah, with everything going on, they're gonna sell. So basically, everything we got is trying to sell the walls, the parts of the wall, which thankfully was stopped. Trying to sell it cheap, so then we would have to pay more. Trying to sabotage Trump in that way. There are many cities and towns where the mayors and the governors are trying to keep Trump from doing mass deportation. And speaking of the wall,
20 years. They tried to auction off the border wall at pennies on a dollar. Thankfully, your governor down there in the great state of Texas, Lawrence, stopped it, and the court system actually blocked it, which was wonderful. He allowed, don't forget, during the last 4 years, millions.
Yeah. So here we are. Oh, gee. Lost my train of thought. Probably because of this dang cold air we having. I'll blame that.
Yeah, it's
just like Joe Biden likes to blame Trump for everything, right?
It definitely was not. It's definitely not pleasant outside. What is like 25 degrees here? I think something like that.
Yeah, but
23. Wow, dipped even lower.
So yeah. So we got things like that, and then now we have a fire, a massive fire in California, which DEI hires in the fire department, and no water in the fire hydrants. I mean, what kind of governor doesn't keep water in fire hydrants? I mean, but but yet Democrats are so good.
There's a whole lot of weirdness going around that. Meanwhile, you have fire trucks that can't pump water through a fire hydrant, which they're supposed to do. But at the same time, houses have running water in them. And from what I understand, that they're two separate lines completely. You would think if one of them is going to randomly shut down, it would be the one that goes to residential. And the other thing that actually really bothers me, it's the public reaction. I actually despise that more than the government inaction of California. Everybody was saying, oh, well, these multi-million-dollar homes, these people will be fine. My house that I live in, that I paid very, very little for, in that area would be probably anywhere between $5 and $10 million. So I'm not rich. It's just the way real estate is out there. These aren't celebrities. These aren't rich people. These are retired teachers and mechanics and people that bought homes there back when some of the first people to build in those hills. They're not rich people. They're like you and me. And it's not their problem that the place got built up so much that their house that they bought for a reasonable amount of money is now worth millions of dollars. That's because their house is worth, $3, $4, $5 million in that area. That's some peasant money. I mean, look at any real estate in and around Los Angeles. $1 million gets you nothing. $1 million gets you a 2-bedroom fixer-upper on a postage stamp of land, where you can pretty much reach out the side window of your house and slap hands with your neighbor. And I don't know. Like I said, I have no basis of actual truth or fact. It just seems like there's certain people in those neighborhoods that they wanted out of there because that land is so valuable.
So Governor Newsom, as Trump calls him, is one of the few local politicians out there who's going to do everything possible to keep the mass deportations from even happening. So it's, I mean, Newsom, and then you got, city councils out there and town councils in California saying, oh yeah, we're going to protect them from being deported. And so basically, the majority of the people want the mass deportation. The majority of the people spoken, and yet you have self-serving, elected officials who are not serving the people.
Well, that's any city like Los Angeles, and if we haven't noticed in this past election cycle, the majority of these people are waking up to it. Even places where Trump lost, there were still some very weird spikes in his popularity when it comes down to who actually voted for him. Celebrities who you would never expect to voice an opinion in any sort of negative way towards the left, they're the ones being the hardest on them. I mean, the right, they sound the same no matter what. The leftists, they suck, they do this, they do that, and they give examples. Well, now it's gotten to the point where, especially Los Angeles, you have the celebrity crowd speaking out. They're leaving like crazy. They're speaking out and saying, this is not what I voted for. This is not why I supported you. And then, of course, in typical Hollywood media and media in general fashion, oh, you spoke out against, our saving grace, the left, the Democrats. Well, we are now going to find all the reasons we can to not like you or not support you or say, oh, this person went nuts. The person didn't go nuts. The person got fed up, overtaxed, over-regulated, and realized, okay, this is not the way that we should be going. Yeah, we understand what you're trying to say for certain, marginalized groups. Okay, that's great. But what are you actually doing for those marginalized groups, and what is the actual damage that you're doing to everybody else? And we can take care of people, we can do good things for people, even people that we don't like, but not at the expense of everybody as a whole. And what happened this past week with those wildfires just shows that they do not have the big picture, as their focus. You mentioned the DEI hires as far as, the government agencies, the fire department specifically. I mean, we're going back probably close to a decade now when Adam Carolla told a story about how he needed work. He went down to the fire department and applied, and they said, yeah, you're not going to get this job for many, many years, because he didn't fit a narrative. So this isn't anything new. I mean, let's see, how old's Adam Carolla now? This is when he was, in his early 20s. So this is 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And he's one of those where he's just kind of hanging on for his kids to graduate high school, and he's getting the hell out of California too.
Well, you know what? We should add to the law, to the EEOC laws, discrimination against political views should not be allowed for termination or hiring people process. And I mean, it should be purely based on qualifications only.
Yeah.
But of course, our government is now too tyrannical for that. But we're seeing the results of it in California against fires they can't fight, where Abbott actually had to send people to help him from his state of Texas. Speaking of, helping people that we don't like. And let's not even forget that the battle, and just because Trump is going to be president, don't think the battle is over just because he's sitting in the seat. Listen to this as they talk about drill, baby, drill.
Rate again, lower our costs, lower inflation, and he wants his agenda to be pushed through. Now, he's making it very difficult. Donald Trump does have a difficult task, because if he does try to have an executive order that says, no, you will be able to drill. This happened in 2019 when he did this with Barack Obama, and then he signed the executive order. It went to court. It was challenged in court, so it was tied up in court for a while. So the best thing we can hope for is that Congress will eradicate all this, or just change the laws, change the no drilling laws, and do that immediately. We have a very slim majority, and Donald Trump is going to have to rely on all those Republicans to get his agenda across, not their own, but his.
Well,
so, okay, so, sorry, my computer's a tad bit on the slow side, but the drill, baby, drill, so they're gonna try to stop the drill, baby, drill. They're gonna try to stop the mass deportations. They're gonna try to keep Trump from doing everything during his time.
Oh yeah.
And we the people have to fight together with him. We cannot sit on the sidelines no longer and expect him to do everything on his own. He is just one man. And if we don't, come together and hold our own local government accountable, Trump is going to have a hard time. Now, I don't doubt that he's going to do a lot for us, but with our help, he can do most of the things that he wants to do to help this country succeed.
I think, based off of some of his cabinet picks, he's going to be very open to working with the other side to figure out, okay, how do we make this work for everybody? I don't think he's going to be as hardline on the partisan as he was his first round, and especially not like other Republican presidents, and especially not like Democratic presidents, who just refuse to work with anybody that even slightly differs from their point of view. I'm sure you saw Fetterman was down in Florida very recently and had a meeting with Donald Trump, because I don't know what happened to him, but every time he's in the news lately, it's like, oh, you're doing something I kind of like. He said, yeah, I'm going to meet with the administration. I'm going to try and work with the administration because that's what's going to benefit my constituents in Pennsylvania the best. And I never thought I'd say this, but John Fetterman is an example of how you guys should be acting as being, holding positions of public office. I am shocked
I never thought I'd say this, but there's also another Democrat who actually spoke out against Joe Biden. Her name is Lindy Lee, and she was on Fox News, saying everything about Biden that's actually true. She's still a Democrat, but she's not a Biden supporter in the least. She probably doesn't even like Kamala Harris, but I would love to get her on this show as a guest because I would like to pick her brain on that.
She's doing her part as an elected official. And just because she has a certain letter behind her name, she is not afraid to criticize her own party. If you don't look at, the problems that you have within your own house, you really shouldn't be judging what's going on at your neighbor's house. And I think that was like the grand awakening that we've seen these past couple of months is, okay, we tried it this way. It's not working. It seems the only way that this is going to work is we need to find out what is going to benefit everybody, because the alienating people, the name calling, the just outright roadblocks, it's not working. And the numbers this November showed it. They clear as day. There's your numbers. You can't say, oh, well, this political pundit said this and that's just their opinion. No, the numbers don't lie. And enough people were just fed up enough that we got it. And honestly, I'm still going to throw it out to the Democratic Party because they did it yet again. They threw in a person, a nominee that wasn't voted for. Yet again. That's the third cycle in a row now? Maybe the people finally started to realize we're not actually getting the person we're voting for. We're just voting for the person they gave us.
Oh yeah. So yeah, definitely she's not afraid to call out her own party, but this was after after a while, after she was basically threatened if she was to say anything by her own party, and probably some rhinos. Speaking of rhinos, listen to this part.
I know there's a lot of talk about the divide within the Republican Party, and there is some divide when it comes to this. It's a slim majority. But there has to be a conversation about the Democrats not learning anything from the election.
Right.
Donald Trump ran on drill, baby, drill. The voters said that they wanted him there. They supported the agenda of that. And so for the Democrats to not moderate on any of that and essentially back Joe Biden and saying, hurrah, hurrah, block Donald Trump in every move when it comes to this, it just seems like this is going to be a resistance campaign yet again from the Democrats that they're not going to try to work on ways that they can agree. Why try to further this notion when the voters, even in your party, you lost them? So work with them on it. Yeah. Try to get some type of compromise when it comes to, I don't know, what they want, cleaner drilling and all. There's ways to work on that. Making all energy clean. But to suggest that we shouldn't be drilling and to limit the president, try to block him on that, it's not smart.
600.
So yeah, so we're in a two-party system basically.
Unfortunately.
Because most people will vote blue no matter who. They will vote red no matter who. And we got what we got. And so it would be nice if they could work together without destroying this country.
Oh yeah.
But and there might be some. I mean, take a look at Fetterman and Lindy Lee. You know, Lindy Lee said she comes speaking as a Democrat and as an immigrant, and she thinks that mass deportation needs to happen. And in her, I should have gotten a clip of that when I saw it. Would have been nice to show, but yeah, that's what we but we basically have progressive Democrats who are willing to do whatever it takes to make money for themselves, and rhinos, which is the majority of the Republicans, and then we got thousands of other parties out there. Uh, when I run for mayor, I'm going to be one in Allentown. I'm running under the Constitution Party. I was told by a Republican that, oh, you won't be taken seriously unless if you run under Republican. Then if that's the case, why do I have several Democratic voters in Allentown who voted for Kamala Harris saying they would vote for me?
I'm this horse that we've beaten this horse, what? Probably at least once a week. And just the idea that everybody's so brainwashed into they just want to win. I want my guy to win, so I'm going to vote for the team that wins. It's no different than you picking a sports team because they have a really good, track record of winning, and you're going to vote for that team because that's who you want to win. Look, people just need to educate themselves that there are other parties out there, because every time I hear, I just voted for the lesser of two evils, I'm tired of the excuse. I really am.
That's like voting Mike Johnson versus a Democrat. Most people hate Mike Johnson, and speaking of which, even though Trump, endorses Johnson, I honestly don't trust him. I wonder if any of the viewers actually trust Mike Johnson as speaker again after what he pulled the first time around.
Well, look what happened. Look what happened to the one person who voted no. This past election for him, he got pulled from his committee. Oh, okay. So there's no sort of repercussion for voting no. One guy, Thomas Massey, said, "No, I'm not voting for you." And yes, I get the idea. Oh, well, we have to get this done so we can get it. We don't have the infighting leading up to Trump taking office. We want to try and get all these cabinet picks, department head picks, and all that stuff taken care of before the 20th. I get that. But that also doesn't mean that we should just elect a guy because he says, hey, vote for me. I didn't like him the last go around, and I really don't think I'm going to like him this one. Get the cabinet picks done, and then basically say, look, we no longer want you as the speaker. We're holding a vote to get you voted out, and then we're going to select another one. Get through the 20th, get through the inauguration, get through getting those picks verified and in place to do their job, and then say, thank you, Mr. Johnson. We appreciate you getting that done, but you basically have 1 month to step up and show that you're not just some hack, or you're gone, because we are actively looking to unseat you.
Honestly, I think Mike Johnson is going to pull Mike Pence on him. Show support with words, but then when the time comes, he's gonna do everything he can to harm Trump. Um, feel free if you disagree or agree, feel free to say in the comments because I would like to know your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I followed what he did during during the congressional races and who he was backing, how he was backing them. I again, there's people who know a lot more about how the insides of this work than I do. And from what they tell me, like, oh, well, they're going to go with the sure thing. Yeah, well, that sure thing is based off of lies. Because that one particular sure thing that I'm talking about voted for Biden's gun control bill and said he would do it again. And you're from Texas, dude. And you're not from Austin, Texas. You're from West Texas. That is that's oil fields, cattle, rednecks, pretty much everybody who you don't want to say that to. And all because he was an incumbent. And I actually think the guy that he beat out, and by beat 400 votes, and also with 10-to-1 expenditure, which was still freaking funny to me. I think his opponent would have had a very good chance if he was on the main ballot in November. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a dumb mechanic from Pennsylvania.
Well, surely you're smarter than Biden. I think he's the dumbest guy in the world who thinks that he got 81 million votes. Secondly, when Marjorie Taylor Greene was trying to impeach people as a congresswoman, you had the majority of the House who disagreed with her, which should say something about most of the Republican parties candidates that we voted in as a nation. It's a uniparty, and even Marjorie Taylor Greene said, in her own words, "That's the uniparty right behind me." And she even got to the point where she said, we as citizens should just take over the government. Basically, 1776 Part 2.
And it's sad that conversation even needs to happen. And what's going on, and whether you're left or right, just look at what your politicians are doing. It's nothing but the status quo, year after year after year after year. Let's just look at their attendance record. How much time do they actually spend in Washington? If they're not in Washington, what are they doing? Where are they? Are they out in their home area meeting with their constituents, or are they on vacation? Or are they out partying? Are they somewhere that just doesn't benefit the job? On average, these people are working 1 to 2 days a week. And I know they say, oh, well, we're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Look, we're here at midnight on a Sunday to get this bill passed. Why? What? Why? Why are you trying to get it passed on a Sunday? I'm sorry.
Because
I don't work on a Sunday. So what are you doing that's either so important or so secretive that you need to get it squeaked through in the middle of the night on a weekend?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Oh, passing a bill in the middle of the night when we're either sleeping on a Sunday when we're relaxing. They're counting on us to go out, have fun, and not while they sneak something that's going to destroy this country some more. And they're hoping that they won't have any opposition. That's what it comes down to. And this is why in our future elections, especially the next 4 years, is going to be the most critical elections. Trump said that the last one is the most critical, but and that is for the federal level. But the next four is the most critical to help Trump get people in, and that will help him. Don't vote in a Republican if they are Democrats. Okay, they can have a Republican label, but if they have a Democratic outcome, don't vote them in. And do the research. And the one thing that I'm not trying to badmouth people's beliefs when I say this, but I have to say, when people say, "Oh, the Holy Spirit told me to vote for this person," I cringe because you're supposed to do actual research, and you know, even if God's Spirit told you to do some, even you be like a Gideon and put it to the test. Gideon put it to the test in Judges. So there you go. And the Bereans, you know, in Acts 17, the Bereans studied the scriptures to see if what Paul said was true. So yeah, put everything to the test. Do the research. Don't get lazy. I have been vigilant. I've been vigilant in doing research on all the presidential candidates this last year, and I actually remembered now 14, at least 14 candidates running for 2024 because I did research. In my district, I found plenty of Democrats, a few Republicans, and a guy who ran under the Independent Party. Now, the guy was nice, but he's so anti-Trump, I couldn't vote for him. So I had to suck it up and pick the best Republican, and Maria Montero was the winner of that one. Because I did the extra research. I listened to them all. I did not, have a personal opinion on who I should vote for right off the bat. I did research. I didn't go, "Oh, I like this person" just because they're nice. They can be you could be the nicest person in the world, but if I don't know you, I'm not gonna consider you until I get to know who you are and what you stand for. And that's just that.
Well, that's you. What you did is what everybody else does not do. They get their flyers in the mail, and what ends up happening is as the cycle progresses, the party will then start to funnel down who they're supporting and putting their money behind, and that's both sides. And when they say, okay, so and so probably has the best chance of winning this based off of current numbers. Now we're going to start funneling our efforts behind that person and trying to convince the other people to bow out and endorse that one particular person. So that was the thing that they were trying to do with Harris, is they were trying to they didn't want anybody. Well, I mean, they knew what they were doing from the get-go, because obviously you saw that they weren't letting any Democrats run against Biden. And I do feel that was a planned thing. And also, one of the things I will tip my hat to the Republicans for is they actually had a primary. People were running. It was pretty well known who the people wanted to be the Republican nominee. And that was Donald Trump from the day Joe Biden took office. And that was the last 4 years. And it was from the day after he lost that election in 2020, that was like, nope, Donald Trump's going to run again in 24. That's who we want. That's who we're going to stick our money behind. I mean, they didn't necessarily endorse him right off the bat, but let's be honest, they didn't exactly try and shut him up either.
Well, in my district, my congressperson who just got sworn in is Ryan McKenzie, because that's who the district most voted for. I'm going to keep an eye on him, and you should keep an eye on your local governments too. But here's the
Oh,
thing: mine is already
he's
sworn,
my guy too.
voted in. He's already sworn in. Yours too.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on him. We're going to be keeping an ear on him. But I say this to everyone: you got to vote if you can get your Congress. If you have an election for your congressperson, your mayor, your governor, state rep throughout this country, be sure that you know their political history, and because if there's anything about them that sounds like a Democrat, you want them out. Don't be like, oh well, Mike Johnson's better than a Democrat. No, get them out, because those are the people that's going to help the Democrats to try and make Trump's job harder, and on the local level. So in the next 4 years, if you can get someone kicked out, like next year, I think Pennsylvania has a governor running, or this year we have a governor race. I think, is it?
It's either this year or next year.
Okay,
It might. I'm trying to remember. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna, but yeah, so we gotta get Shapiro out, but I gotta be careful of who I'm gonna vote for, and because I want a governor that's gonna help Trump do mass deportations here in Pennsylvania, not try and hinder him every chance they get. Shapiro is scum. Well, maybe I should say Newscomb Jr. because he wants Pennsylvania to be like California, that's for sure.
He actually started off very, very strong, in my opinion. He did a really good job of keeping his nose out of the news, which honestly, I mean, you're a governor, you're a Democrat. There are certain news networks out there that are going to absolutely dig up whatever they can on you. And he was pretty much out of the news, other than when that bridge collapsed. What was it, Pittsburgh? He was very adamant to show the support as far as what went wrong in Palestine, Ohio, when that train derailed, and how the federal government failed, them during that disaster. When he was in AG, he did a lot of good things for renters' rights, not squatters' rights, actual renters' rights, where, let's be honest, there are some scumbag landlords out there, and he went after them, and he stood up for the people. And I was like, hey, you know what? I kind of like this guy for this stuff. Are there things that he does that I absolutely despise? Yes. But as far as a Democrat governor goes, I'm like, this guy's actually not bad. And then the 2024 election came around, and then he started moving his lips. Whether or not that is his actual opinion, I think the Democrats did what Democrats do, and they brought people in that they thought were likable. And he said, hey, you're going to support us, and then we're going to support you next cycle, and blah, blah, blah. We're going to make you VP. Well, we already knew he was going to be VP because the core base of Kamala's supporters were not exactly too thrilled with what was going on between Israel and Palestine. And what is Shapiro? A Jew. So they felt that it was not a good idea to, put a Jew on the ticket. But yet somehow, the Republicans are the anti-Semitic group, which I never quite understood. Again, 20 years in auto collision, I huffed a lot of paint fumes inadvertently because of doing so. Again, my brain is fried. I'm a dumb mechanic. But when it comes to elections, they want to go with optics. And I think they use Shapiro And I also think they tarnished his name. I think he probably would have turned out to be a not so bad individual if they just let him out of all the dog and pony show nonsense that was this past election.
Well, sadly, he does too much playing around and not enough work. Um, we have a lot of issues in like downtown Allentown, and do the politicians come in Center City, Allentown much? Not at all. And that's Republican and Democrats. That's where I'm going to be very different. I'm going to be on the streets of downtown Allentown where they need me the most. And when I'm running for mayor, when I'm and if I do get mayor, I'm going to be downtown Allentown, and I will help Trump with whatever I believe is right, of course. But but just like any human being, no one is perfect as far as making the greatest policies, but most of what Trump does is great. But I will help, and that's where I help him. Be like, yeah, mass deportation, do it. And as a Constitution party, I'm totally honor bound under the Constitution by my fellow Constitution Party candidate members. And that's why I will vote until there's what I would call a CINO, CINO, Constitution in name only, until I meet any. I will vote the Constitution Party from the top down and from the bottom up, 100% if there's any candidates for it, because we need to bring back the constitutional republic to where the government is held accountable by the people 100%, and the Constitution Party does that very well at the moment.
Well, you brought up a great point as far as when's the last time you saw a state level representative in Center City, Allentown, outside of doing any sort of campaign work? You don't. They're never there. Even though they may represent that area, you don't see them unless you have enough money to be a game-changing donor. Even positions like the mayor. Do you think if you or I walked into City Hall tomorrow and said, I want to have a meeting with the mayor, we would get brushed off? But I walk in there as a millionaire business person trying to, do something with my money that could potentially make that, politician look good. They'll see you in 5 minutes. Have a seat right here. We'll go get them. Would you like anything to drink? And that's politics in general. Money talks. And you don't see people out in the street. That's one of the things I do have to give Zach Mako credit for. My state house rep here. If I need to see him or I need to talk with him, it is not difficult to do so. It's really not at all. And his office does a great job of basically doing what they can to help out, whatever his constituents' needs may be. If it's something they can't do, like because they just physically cannot do something, they're honest about it. There's not just, oh, sure, we'll take care of you. Thanks for the phone call. I just remember I reached out to his office, was it 2020, 2021, for an issue. And I just did like the usual. I went on the website, did my little typey thing. I'm like, okay, well, cool. I did my part. I'm never going to hear about this ever again.
Well, that's something I like about Curtis Lewa in New York City.
Within the same business day, I had a phone call. I got a phone call the same business day. That to me, that's representation. I'm not saying he's the best person in the world, but you know what? As far as being there for his constituents, he does a very good job as far as making himself available.
Well, that's something I like about Curtis Lewa. His office is like if he was mayor of New York City, his office would be on the streets with the people. In the worst parts of New York City, he's been doing it for decades as a guardian angel, and people of New York City say they hate Mayor Adams. They want to see Curtis Lewa as the next mayor. They wanted to see him years ago, and they want to see him still. Because they know his heart for the people. They know that he would be there for the people, and he would help Trump tremendously in New York City with the mass deportations for sure. Because there are many homeless people in New York City right now, and I quote him when I say this. Um, this is an American citizen that lived here all their lives, and they should not be on the street like this. And obviously, he's not a billionaire, so you can't do everything for him like he would want to. But if he can offer a meal, he would do that. That's the kind of guy he is. And I had the pleasure of meeting him once right here in Easton, years back when was doing a documentary. I wish I was in the media back then. I would have definitely did some interviews.
That
But
see, and that's like
yeah.
you said, if he had the money, he would do more. And that's one of the things I love to see people have that mindset rather than, well, we have to tax this person because I think you should do X, Y, and Z with this money. Okay. How about this, Mr. and Mrs. Tax Everybody? Why don't you go out, find a random homeless person, give them a place to stay for one night, whether it be in your home, buy them a hotel room, give them some food, give them one night, one 24-hour period of not having to worry about something. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do that. It doesn't take a government to do so. And let's just say that gesture costs you $200, $250, depending on how nice you want to be. If you gave that same $250 to the government, how much of that money would actually get to that one individual you're trying to help?
Well, here's
20,
a bad
$25,
idea.
$50 maybe.
Well, here's a bad idea. Why don't all the liberals and the leftists who support illegal crossing of the border for the next 6 days keep the illegals in their homes until Trump comes to deport them all? I guarantee you they will not be the first ones to do it. They just think everyone else should do it but themselves. Always the double standard. And this is why if we didn't have such a disorganized crossing of the border, we wouldn't be going through what we did the last 4 years. If we had people impeached or even charged with treason, yes, they should have been charged. The Biden administration should have been charged with treason. Everyone who supported it should have been charged with treason. And everyone who had the power to make a move should have, but did absolutely nothing, should be charged with treason. Whenever Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to impeach someone, everyone should have. And if they were to be the ones causing treason, the person that she tried to impeach, everyone who went against her should be charged with treason for saying no.
I don't understand why it's such a difficult concept that citizen versus non-citizen. And again, we've talked about this as well. I'm not a scumbag. I want people to come to this country. I want people to live a better life. But you're not going to let a stranger into your home just because they knocked on your door. Like, you're going to ring camera, or you're going to, no, we're not home, go away. To me, that's just a little bit hypocritical. Like, I know for a fact that I'm not going to just let some random person into my home. It's just how I am. And maybe it's just because some things that I've witnessed, in my lifetime. Maybe it's things I've witnessed on television, as far as the news, and just let's be real. There's some really scummy people out there, and I think we need to treat our country as our home, because it is our home.
Yeah.
You can have a secure border and let people into the country at the same time.
Yeah.
All we're
hard.
trying to do is make sure that we're not getting scumbags into our home. I want people to come here. I mean, I listen to Homan. Oh my God, he's on the radio probably 3-4 nights a week lately, and he wants people to be safe. And the open policy is not making it safe. Everybody, oh, you're breaking up families. Really, the people who are coyoteing these people into the country are not. You have all these adults with children who probably aren't even theirs, just using the child as the excuse. We're seeking asylum. This is my child. And then there's no verification done, only to find out that these kids go missing. And it's a problem that I feel we can solve in a manner that doesn't shut down people coming into this country 100%, but it will slow it down enough to we can at least say, okay, you're a good person. Cool. Bus is over there. We're going to take you here, get you started with a life. We're going to help you achieve the American dream. And anybody who does not fit the criteria of somebody who wants to be here, I'm kind of being a hypocrite now. We did technically elect a felon, but again, but if you have a criminal history in another country, or we can't verify your history in another country, we're sorry, doors closed, because we don't know who you are.
Well,
it
depends on the crime too. If it's something someone in China, got arrested because they had a Bible study in their home. It's like, come here, we'll let you have your Bible studies.
Well, when I say a criminal history, I mean like actual crimes.
Well, yeah, but I get what you're saying. Actual hardcore crimes. You commit murder, rape, and whatever, assault, you're not coming to this country.
Right.
And also, one thing I'm hoping Trump gets rid of on the federal level first is the Department of Indoctrination. Oh, did I say indoctrination? I meant education. No, I meant indoctrination. Because because the government controlling schools. Okay, government-run schools is the worst thing we could have ever had in this nation. At least a government-run schools that the parents are not involved in making sure that their kids are getting a proper education. And we need to bring back history books. We have I don't know how many volumes of history books, but I would argue that we need to teach kids from first grade, from history book number 1, and then progress to 2, 3, 4. And I would also argue that whatever's in history books number 1, you don't make a history book number, let's say, 12 and change and rewrite history.
So that was one of the things, for you and I growing up. Oh, the school district can't afford new books. That's why the books we were learning out of didn't cover things within our own lifetime that should have been. What we have no excuse anymore, Quinn. Everybody's got these. Every every student has a tablet now of some way, shape, or form, whether it be an iPad, whether it be a Chromebook, whether it be I don't know what Android tablets are, whatever. They have some sort of device. Guess what else you can put on those devices, everybody? Books.
History books. Yes.
You don't need a physical copy of a book anymore. In fact, because we all know, Quinn, did when you were in school, did you read every single thing that they wanted you to read? Probably not, because I know I didn't. You skimmed through it because it was boring. It was written in the the 50s. It didn't really have anything to do with us. The books were older than we were. Honestly, the books that we learned from, in high school and elementary school, they were older than we are now. But with the way things change and the way that we're progressing forward and learning new things, there is no reason why you can't have an ebook. There's no reason why the person on the track team can't get a history lesson through their earbuds while they're doing their run. It's just one of those things where it's the technology I'm actually for. I can throw a podcast on or a history book on recording and listen to it while I drive to and from work if I so choose. Let the technology work for us. We don't need to be so antiquated when it comes to this. Like, we need books. No, you don't need books. You need ebooks because everything is there. We obviously have the information to prove that the information in the book is wrong or outdated. Well, then why don't we give them the proper up-to-date version of it? The actual version. Like, I don't need to learn about Columbus 3 times because in elementary school, he sailed the ocean blue and discovered America. Middle school.
And that's part of my argument right there. Once you learn about Christopher Columbus, the next year you move on to further in history. Because if I guarantee you, if I learned about the founding fathers in history book number 1 and the history books of today, they would say completely different things. And I'm going to trust number 1 over today's writing because our government is making sure that we are dumber by the minute and more brainwashed by the minute. And they don't want us to break free of their control. And that's what they fear is us understanding everything. But hey, so we got a couple minutes left. I want to show this meme before I go with the fire. Anyone who got a ticket for parking by a fire hydrant in LA should sue the city since they were only for show. Since they didn't have water in them. Everyone,
I can't wait to see what comes out.
And then please get yourself a Human Lives Matter t-shirt. This is the unity that Democrats, the government hates. We're we're all same race, just different colors. So if you want to support our work, please get one of our t-shirts. They're only $15 plus shipping. And I always, unless if it's the weekend, I always bring them out the next day when I see the orders.
Oh yeah, by the way, Quinn does not use the USPS to ship these shirts because he wants them to actually make it to their location.
For that. But hey everyone, it was great having you on tonight. And we will see you next week at 1900 or 7.
Hey,
hopefully
we're going to be partying next week.
Oh, yes. We're going to have fun next week. Until then, next week when we see you, we will have a president for the first time in 4 years.
Yes, it is going to be a very, very wonderful, wonderful beginning of our next chapter, if you will.
Oh, yeah. All right, everyone. Signing off now. See you next week.
Have fun, guys.